Happy New Year! New Year, new you? Are you setting goals, intentions, or resolutions for 2024? How'd that work out for you in 2023? Do you even know? That's what we're going to talk about in this video. We're going to learn how to do a really good year-end review so that you can set yourself up for success as you plan your goals for 2024.
Cool. Hi, hello there. My name is Jeannie and this is my channel, Wandering with Jeannie, and I am just a middle-aged woman trying to put the pieces of my life together in the best way possible. And today what we're going to talk about is year-end review. And you might think of this as something that you just do at work, but it is super awesome to do this for yourself. And the reasons for that are because it sets up a framework where you can look at your last year, find the places and the times where you were most happy, most successful, most excited, and then as you move forward into the next year, into the new year, you can direct your energy towards the things that are going to give you the most energy and be the most fun and where you can be the most successful in your life. So let's dive in. All right, so as we're getting started, you might, if you're the kind of person that likes to kind of set the scene or have sort of a ritual about it, feel free to go ahead, especially if you're going to kind of play along here. Light a candle, make yourself a cup of tea, get in some cozy clothes, put on some soft music, whatever it is that kind of sets you in the mood to be reflecting. And because that's really what it is our year-end review. So you can do this digitally. You can do this on a tablet, computer, on the Notes app, on your phone, whatever makes sense for you. You can do it on paper. Just whatever method helps you to get it done, because this is so important. Like, I know everybody gets all happy and excited about like making a shiny new vision board and like setting goals and all those things, and they are super important, and we will definitely get to do those as we move through this process. And at the same time, it's super important for you to, like I said, go through this review and figure out what works for you, because that way, as you're setting your goals, as you're setting your routines and your systems and your tasks and all these things moving forward, you can give yourself things and ways to do what you want to do that you already know work for you. Or if there's stuff that you need to work on, then you can set that as a goal. So we'll get into it. Don't worry. In any case, feel free to play along. Feel free to pause the video as we go. I'll be asking a bunch of questions. So if you want to just pause the video, answer the question, restart it, or just listen to the whole thing and kind of get the gist of it, do your own thing. Us middle-aged people, you know, I'm mid-40s, we're Gen X. Like I'm a late Gen X. We like to do things our own way. So do this in whatever way makes sense to you. Okay, that's the most important thing, is that you can do it in a way that works for you. That's just good solid life advice, in case you didn't know. Do it in a way that works for you. Be yourself. So basically, for our year-end review, there's going to be three parts. There is the review, which is very fact-based, just literally what happened. What did you do? Boom, 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 boom. A bunch of different ways of asking that question. There's the reflection section, and this is where we kind of get into how did things make, like, how did you feel about this? What were your motivations? We're kind of getting into more of like the touchy-feely stuff. And again, like I said, a lot of us Gen X people, not our favorite part. Totally fair. If you grew up in the 70s and 80s, yeah, feelings weren't a thing. But it's the 21st century and we do feelings now. So do your best. There is absolutely in no part of this that involves any judgment. So if at any point in time you start to feel like you're judging yourself or someone else is judging you, just shut that down, get up, go take a walk, take a shower, go for a run, like whatever you need to do to get yourself out of that judging headspace, because that's actually very much not helpful. No judging here. You want to be a detective. Okay, you want to look for clues from your past year as far as helping you figure out what's the best way for you to move forward. And if detective doesn't really resonate for you, think of it like you want to be a scientist. So you're going to like develop some hypotheses and then look at the evidence to see, do they support your hypothesis or not? But all of this is very, very cold-hearted, very much like what is actually going on here. So just keep that in mind. Like I said, take care of yourself. It can be hard when you are looking, especially at your own life. If you have the ability to create some separation and kind of be like, well, that's 2023 me. So I'm going to I can look at 2023 me and know that me is ending like tomorrow, and I'm going to be 2024 me. So if you can kind of create that mental separation, go ahead and do that. And then the third part is assess. So this is where you're going to kind of look at putting the pieces together and again be like, all right, that worked because a lot of the assess questions are very like toddler, 3-year-old. Why did that work? Why didn't that work? What did you like about that? What didn't you like about that? They're very evaluative. I don't even know if that's a word, but that's what it is. So that's kind of like the high level overview of what we're looking to accomplish with this year end review. Like I said, there's going to be a whole bunch of questions, and I'm probably going to pull my computer out and just read them off the computer because I can't memorize all of them. And so feel free to jot them down or go to my website. I have a blog post all about this. So if you want to go to the blog post, you can read the questions there. Whatever works for you. Like I said, the overarching thing with this whole exercise is find a way that works for you to just do it. Nike, right? Just do it. All right. So, got my laptop. We're good to go. Anyway, so here we are. This is the review step. Step 1. This is where we start. Just the facts, okay? Just the facts, ma'am. And this is what we're going to start with. So, what were your 3 biggest wins this year? However you define that, and if that. So there's actually several questions here, they're very similar. So 1 or 2 of them might resonate more for you than the other one. And so the next one is, what were your 3 highlights this year, and what were your top 3 experiences? So just depending on how that makes sense in your brain, they might be all kind of the same question, or they might be slightly different questions. Answer them however you want. And there's no judgment here. Like, no one else is going to say, I'm not going to see this. I'm never going to know what you wrote down. Okay, so write down whatever you want, just whatever comes up into your mind. It's one of those things where they're like, oh, write whatever pops first into your mind. Like, if that makes sense for you, do it. If you feel like you need to like kind of sit with it and let it percolate for a little while, do that. Or if it just doesn't make sense, move on to the next question. Like, don't get all hung up in it. Just kind of, again, another piece of advice there. The next couple of questions were, my days were most productive when, and my days were least productive when. So think about like, what were some of the contributing factors when you felt like you had a really, really productive day, or when you just didn't. A good example of maybe when you didn't have a productive day would be like if you were like sick or injured or sleep well, because those of you who are 40-something ladies in the audience probably understand not sleeping well at night. Or, if you're younger, if you're someone who has a little kid and you're not sleeping well at night, you can understand that if you don't get a good night's sleep, that impacts your productivity. The next question is, what were some of your key decisions? If you felt like you had any key decisions this year, things that you kind of felt were a turning point in your life, where you decided this and not that, whatever those might be, write those down. What's something that you learned this year? If, again, like if the key decision question, if that doesn't resonate with you, or if it does, like take what resonates and leave the rest. But what was something you learned this year? So it can be something you learned about yourself, it could be something you learned at work. What's something you learned? The next question is, what is one thing that you had never done before? There may be some years where you're like, I didn't really do anything new this year, and that's okay. You're allowed in your lifetime to have years where you're like, you know what, I kind of coasted, or I just needed a rest. That's fine if you say, I didn't really do anything new, but maybe you did. Maybe you did do something new this year. Maybe whatever it is, you picked up a new instrument. Write that down. What do you wish you had time to do? And I love that question. What do you wish you had time to do? The things that you were on that list that you just never really got around to, because those might be things that you want to put on your list for 2024. Just a thought. What were 3 failures? That doesn't have to be 3. And failures, if the word failures is kind of triggering for you, like a lot of people it is, you can rephrase that to say like, what were 3 misses? What were 3, and it doesn't even have to be 3. It can be 1, it can be 6, whatever makes sense. Just don't go down the rabbit hole. Like, do not go down the rabbit hole here. But what were 3-ish things that like just didn't quite work out the way you wanted them to? Could be anything. If you set any goals or projects, resolutions, anything like that for 2023, go through them. If you have where you wrote them down, or if you have a vision board from January of 2023, go through it. Pull that sucker out and give yourself some grades. Give yourself a report card. How did you do? Goals that you accomplished, things that were in progress, things you did part of but not all of, things that you got partway through the year and you're like, you know what? I don't really want to do this anymore. They're your goals, they're your projects, they're your resolutions. Quit. I don't care. No one else cares. Just quit. What was a favorite place that you visited? So this, it doesn't always have to be like a big, amazing, I went to like Paris or Milan or Bali or whatever. Like maybe you just have like a place at the park where you like to go sit down and just chill. Just what was your favorite place to visit this past year? And then there's two of these here, your favorite movie, your favorite show. Those are kind of fun, but they can also kind of be a window to what was resonating with you this year, what made sense. Again, take it or leave it. I didn't really answer those. Nothing really popped into my mind for those questions, so you don't have to do them all. It's fine. And then there is a bonus question if you're going to be moving on from here to working on setting a vision statement or a mission. In the next step, here's a preview for you. Something they typically tell you to do when you're working on creating a vision is to think about like, what do you want your life to look like at the end of this year, or in 3 years, or 5 years, or 10 years, whatever size vision you're crafting. And what they don't necessarily say for you to do, but could be very, very helpful, is to think back. What did your life look like at this point last year? What did your life look like 3 years ago? What did your life look like 5 years ago? Who were you 10 years ago? Were you in college? Did you have a toddler? Were you married? Where were you living? Could you afford groceries? Like, really kind of think about like, where was I at that point in time versus where I am now? And then when you go into your vision statement, you have that continuity of like where you started, where you are now, and then where you want to go. Just a thought. All right, next up is step number 2, for those of you who are keeping track. The second step, like I said, is reflect. This is still a very scientific, fact-based kind of a thing. However, we are going to be asking more about like feelings and emotions and motivations and blah, 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 blah. Just do your best. I will keep telling you, do not get hung up in this. Do not go down a rabbit hole. Like, just do your best. If there is a section where you need to just like jot something down and move on, like this is the section where you probably just want to be like, write it down, move on. Keep her moving. So as far as reflection question, what brought you the most happiness in this past year? What did you find most embarrassing? What did you find most empowering? When did you laugh the hardest? Is there like I said, maybe you have a memory attached for these things, maybe you don't. That's okay. Like I said, skip it if it doesn't make sense. What is my favorite self when? This is such a good question because it asks you when you liked yourself the most, or when you felt like you were your favorite self, and that can be a little bit more accessible in some other ways that people sometimes ask that question. When did I feel my best? When was my mood the best? When was my mood the worst? Again, we're kind of looking at like those flip sides, right? The top and the bottom, and then what was going on when you were at your top and what was going on when you were at the bottom, because that's really, really important for you to know as far as moving forward. What kind of person have I been becoming this year? And you can look at this both like internally and externally, as far as like, have you felt any shifts inside of you where you feel like you're becoming calmer or more patient or more angry? Who do you feel like you're becoming kind of like in your relationship with yourself? And then again, turning that externally and being like, who do I feel like I'm becoming in my interactions with the rest of the world? And this could be like, well, I got married, so now I'm a wife, or it could be I had a kid, so now I'm a parent. It could be career related. You could be like, oh, well, I became a teacher, so like that, I'm becoming a teacher, I'm becoming a mentor. There's no wrong way really to answer these questions, and skip them. Like I said, if they don't make sense, skip them. So next question, what themes have emerged for me over the last year? And again, this is one of those maybe if you do journal, or if you're in therapy, or even as you're reflecting on this, you may notice that there were some themes for you that are kind of like coming forward. And this is sort of the flip side, and we'll get into this in a minute, of like having a word for the year. All right, so the next question is summarize your previous year in somewhere between like 3 words and 2 sentences. So that's where, this is what I was saying about like a lot of people, some people, maybe you, I don't know, set like a word for the year. And so this is where you're looking back and saying, if you were to summarize your year in somewhere between 3 words and 2 sentences, what would that be? And it can be really interesting then to look at what was your word for the year, or what was like your intention for the year, and see how do they line up? How do they compare? How does like your vision, your thoughts that you wanted to set in motion in January of 2023, and then life being all lifey the way it is, how did those come together? What in your current thinking is not helping you? And so this can be a really interesting question for you to answer. Like I said, answer, move on. We'll come back to it as part of the planning process. What has been most challenging for you? Again, could be anything. Could be a boss, could be a situation, could be yourself, could be a kid. Like there's a lot of things. Just what has been most challenging for you? Whatever pops into your head. This is another one of my favorite questions, is what would you do differently? Not that you can go into the past and change anything. However, if you were faced with X, whatever that situation is, how would you handle it this time? It's a good question. What are you procrastinating about? So this is, this is a good one. We all probably tend to have things that we're procrastinating about. Just make a list. You may see this again in your goals for 2024. And the follow-up to that, what are you procrastinating about question, is what would help you take action? So a lot of times when we're procrastinating about something, it's because there's a roadblock that we either haven't acknowledged or we don't know how to overcome. So for each of those things that you are procrastinating about, try to just jot down something that would help you take action. Could be anything. Could be I need to replace the roof on my house, but I need $20,000 in order to do that. Could be I need to remember to meal prep, and I would do a better job remembering that if I had a reminder pop up on my phone, you need to meal prep right now. Whatever. Could be anything. Next up. And this is another one of those kind of like pairs of questions. What did I do in the last year that will still matter in 5 years? That's a cool question. And then the flip part of that is, what did I do 5 years ago that matters now? They're cool questions. What are the best things that you did for someone else this year? And then what are the best things you did for yourself this year? What was the best advice you received? And what was the best compliment you received? And again, if you hear that question and you're like, nobody complimented me this year, don't let that trigger you. Okay, fine. Just move on. The question after that says, what or whom are you most thankful or appreciative for this year? Just keep moving. So the third step is assessment. And like I said, these questions are about putting things together. And there are a lot of like, why, what happened kind of toddler questions. You do still want to maintain that self-separation or that scientist or detective kind of attitude, because we're just looking for answers. They're like I said, there's no judgment. It's just, what are the answers? So that's fine. What was your biggest or hardest challenge this year? What are 5 things on your not to-do list? So if you're not familiar with the idea of a not to-do list, think of it as a lot of people are familiar with a to-do list, where you make a list and you're like, okay, these are the things that I want to get done. Boom, 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 boom. Things that go on your not to-do list are things that you don't want to do anymore, or that you just don't want to do. So it can be anything. It can be picking your nose. It can be reacting when you're driving the car and like road rage. It can be forgetting to floss your teeth, like whatever it is. 5-ish. Again, no one's judging you. No one's going to see this but you. So 5-ish things on your not to-do list. What in the past year did not go well? Why and what happened? So where before, like we kind of just like, this was the thing. This is where I do want you to kind of dig in a little bit and be like, all right, this was the goal, or this was this is what happened to me. Just describe the whole situation. And it's up to you. Whatever it is, just put it out there. Write it down. What have been some of your key learnings? These are lessons that you've learned over the last year. What is blocking me from taking action towards my goals? So this is kind of similar to the previous question, like what are you procrastinating about? What do you need to take action? This is another way of asking yourself, what is blocking me? And it can be very concrete things, like I said, like I need money to fix my roof, or I need a new computer. I want to learn how to ski, but I live in Texas or Kansas and there's no mountains. There's like whatever it is. It can be like mental things about what is blocking me from taking action. It could be like fear of success. It could be depression. It could be anxiety. It could be I can't take action on my goal because my boss doesn't support me. Like there's a lot of different things. Just jot down whatever is true for you, what you see as being the things that are blocking you from taking action on your goals. And then this is the last question, and that is, did you embody your vision and theme for the year? So if you had a vision and theme for 2023, how'd you do? 100%, all check boxes? Did you do everything? Or I would guess, I know for me, when I did this, I was like, well, I had honestly forgotten what I wrote down for that, but I looked at it and I was like, well, I did like 2/3 to 3/4 of my embodying my vision and theme. And at the same time, I learned, okay, well, the stuff that I didn't do I want to like focus on that for the next year, or do I want to do something different? We'll see. So just to reiterate again, like take the questions that make sense to you, answer those, skip the ones that don't make sense or don't seem to apply. You don't have to answer all the questions. I didn't even answer all the questions. I did my own year-end review. And then once you have all of this information, like hopefully the goal here was for you to have uncovered some truths about yourself and about what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and how you can, like I said, set yourself up for success and do more of the things that work for you, or set yourself up to be surrounded by the things that help you feel good and help you move forward. So once you've completed all this, our next step is going to be, like I said, in the planning process, is putting together a current vision and mission statement, and then if you need it, a value statement. And just remember, like your vision and mission can change over the course of your lifetime, over the course of from year to year, even within a year. You may be like, you know what, this was what I thought I wanted my life to be in January, but it's entirely possible that by March or June or November or whatever, you're like, you know what, I don't want to do that anymore. So your vision and mission are definitely in flux. So it totally makes sense to periodically revisit that and say, okay, this is what I want to try to shoot for now. Your values tend to be stable. over the course of your life, they can shift somewhat. That again is a good thing to come back to every once in a while. And yes, and so once we have those in place, then that will flow into setting goals and projects for 2024, and then breaking down your big goals into chunks, quarterly goals, monthly goals, weekly goals, and then daily tasks. So the idea is that everything is aligned, and then you can be doing things on a day-to-day basis that will continually move you towards accomplishing your goals. So we'll get into all of that in a later video. But in any case, thank you so much for watching. I hope you are having a lovely, lovely end of December, early January, whenever you get to see this. And I hope that going through this process really helps you to set yourself up for success in the coming year. So stay tuned for this is going to be a whole series of videos. So stay tuned, and I will see you next time. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great day. Oh, and don't forget, if you like the video, hit the like button. Hit subscribe if you want to make sure you don't miss when the other videos come out. And if you have other questions that you think are really helpful for a review, drop them in the comment box, and we can build our questions so that next year we have even better questions to answer for our review. So again, thank you so much, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.